focus in on the sidelines of the conference and the Centrum FICCI Conclave, and Sandeep Upadhyay, Managing Director and CEO, Centrum Infrastructure, is with us. Thanks very much for joining in. Can you tell us a little bit about the conference? How's it going? What's the key purpose and who are your participants?
You know, this conclave is one of the events which is going to be a part of the series that, we want to hold with credible partners like FICCI. It is definitely aligned to the sector-focused investment banking approach that Centrum has. For a couple of these core sectors, including infrastructure, defense and logistics, we have a dedicated advisory/investment banking team. The purpose, I think, essentially for this conference is to discuss what are the emerging solutions for infra financing, both on the debt and the equity side. And the format essentially is going to be more of a panel discussion where we invite all the industry veterans to be a part of it, and then see if there could be a consensus building, across the panelists in terms of what are these potential solutions on the infra financing front.
Okay, in your view, what are the key issues plaguing the infra sector, and what is the outlook on the infra financing space?
As of now, the weakest link seems to be the banks. I mean, if we just look at what is the gross NPA position, March 16, the number was around 7.6%. And as per RBI estimates, this can actually go up to 8.5% by March 17. Our internal estimate says this could even get worsened. I think we'll be closer to 9% by the end of this financial year, which means that this is something which needs to be addressed urgently. This number is alarming. And because of the over-dependence on the banks that I just talked about, for funding the infra projects, I think this is something which has to be cleared as a mess as point number one. Apart from this, the capital markets have remained a bit cold in terms of responding to issues which are coming from the infra companies. I think alternate avenues like InvIT, the Infrastructure Investment Trust, as well as the IDFs, which could be done both from a mutual fund as well as from an NBFC point of view, are the alternate solutions. In terms of, the other pain points which are related to sectoral reforms, I think the NDA government has done pretty well in terms of initiating some of these key reforms. I don't think, as a banker or as an advisor, we are really cribbing about less being done on the reforms part. But at the same time, I think the results will take some time. It is a regulated sector. I don't think we will have results flowing in overnight. We tend to get very judgmental about, results not happening despite all the reforms and all. But I would tend to, give the government some more time in terms of getting these reforms to result into, actual action picking up.
And finally, you did just mention that the weakest link is banks, but even the infrastructure sector has seen quite a bit of over-leveraging of their balance sheets. So how will fresh infusion to these companies come about when there's already so much pain in the system?
Well, the regulators have tried a lot of initiatives, including, starting with SDR, which was the flavor of the market till about a year back. And recently we've got the S4A guidelines, in terms of defining the sustainable debt and a solution around it. The solution actually has to come out right from, the position where you start monetizing assets. I think the biggest challenge today with most of these over-leveraged firms is to see whether there is a liquidity for the assets on which they are sitting, which means there have to be takers for these assets. The moment these assets are bought out, there are two things which happen. One is you get the debt level down, and two is you get some equity which can, get replenished for doing all the new greenfield investments.
All right, Mr. Upadhyay, thanks so much for joining in. Let's take a quick break, but on the other side, we'll